following takes place between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Events occur in real time.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's Wednesday, November 3rd. This is FPC Radio Live. I am Ian Glendon. Of course. A lot of stuff to talk about. I kind of lost my train of thought, or at least I got out of my my show mode here right before we got on the air because it was brought to my attention, or at least it was brought up. Turkey and Thanksgiving and everything like that. And anyone who knows me knows I am very anti-turkey, and I will take every opportunity to talk it down. So that's what has me all riled up this morning. So unfortunately for my co-host John, I don't know exactly where he lands in this non-turkey debate. But good or bad, he's going to have to hear me rant about it. So good morning, John. I don't know. Is that a question?
Good morning.
Is it a good morning?
It is a good morning.
Good.
It's officially, Turkey month. We're in November, right? So it is leads to a good discussion. I think closer to Thanksgiving, maybe we can discuss pies because I've got definitely strong opinions about certain pies.
Okay, well, I'll say this, and I'll give it. There's only one good pie. That's it. One good pie. That's it.
One good pie. Which one's that?
Apple pie. That's it. Everything else is just
apple pie.
It's too much. It's too much.
Pumpkin. I love pumpkin pie. I can
I'm not okay.
Pie.
I'll be, and I'll throw this out there. I'm not a big pumpkin guy. Like I'm I'm going to talk about my dislikes about a turkey here in just a minute. But everything pumpkin, I'm good. Pumpkin spice, get out of here. I'm
It gets a bit overboard.
It
does.
It does.
Pumpkin bread, pumpkin pie. If you've had pumpkin soup, it's good. So I like squash with my turkey dinner. I'm giving my takeaway a little bit, but I like squash with my turkey dinner. So pumpkin and squash is really good. Although my favorite pie is actually an Italian pie. It's ricotta pie, which is more of a Northeast thing. I don't know if they even sell that in your neck of the woods.
This is the first time I've ever heard it.
Yeah, it's ricotta cheese with cream and sugar. It is incredible, and it's all of that is inside a really nice crust. It's a great pie. You'd have to next time you come to the Boston area, just go to the North End, Mike's Pastry, all those pastry shops. They make phenomenal ricotta pies. That's my favorite pie, followed by pumpkin. Now, if you could get pumpkin ricotta pie, we got a winner.
Yeah, now we're getting a little too complicated here. It's like,
I'm getting too nuanced.
Why do we got to over flavor everything? Why does everything have to be?
So, you're right.
It's like we got like pumpkin pie spice flavored pumpkin. Like, I mean, it's like, come on now. Like, what do we like? I literally saw Doritos flavored Lay's. Like, what? What are we doing? Come on.
What?
No, I'm not kidding. That is a real thing. It exists. It's out there. It drives me crazy. Anyways, going from foods that don't need to be overdone to foods that actually need to be overdone for anyone to actually enjoy them. Turkey. There was a question thrown out there on Twitter this morning, something around Thanksgiving dinner. And then, obviously, John, I took my opportunity to begin my yearly campaign, or actually it should be a year-round campaign to let people know or remind people or let's say awaken people to the fact that turkey's just not good. No matter how you slice it, turkey is not good unless you're over. Again, when I ask people to describe, it's kind of like the whole, hey, tell me how Tom Brady's fallen off the cliff. Where is he diminished? Well, inevitably it always comes back to, oh, well, there's this pick any sort of great seasoning plus this, plus that, and then the turkey. So, okay. So you basically have to cook an entire meal other than the turkey to actually make the turkey feel better. Okay. All right. Or taste good, would feel better. I don't care about the turkey. Who cares about the turkey? The point is turkey bites. It's just bad. It's bad. And the only reason people eat it on Thanksgiving is because it's been drilled into your head since you were took your first breath that turkey is served on Thanksgiving and you should enjoy turkey. Well, guess what? Turkey stinks. Give me a ham, give me a roast, give me anything. Give me a Big Mac. I don't care. Just pass on the turkey. I don't care. Dark meat, white meat, uncooked meat, overcooked meat, turkey sandwich, it doesn't matter. Just give me something other than turkey because it's the most overrated traditional food I think we've ever had in the history of man, John. In the history of man.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Well, I
And
do
true
like dark
and
meat
right.
over white meat. Well, I mean, you're entitled to that opinion, and you seem to be
Yeah.
pretty strong about that opinion. So I don't want to get you riled up at 9:15 on a Wednesday morning. But I think I like dark meat over white meat. I think it's got more flavor. It's also got more cholesterol. But I get your point where turkey is kind of like a force multiplier, though. You like stick it in the middle of the meal, and then you surround it with stuffing, which people love, and squash and mashed potatoes and all the fixings, and it kind of works together, and you just smother it with gravy. Now, you don't like turkey. Do you like chicken?
Oh, of course. Of course. Chicken is
Okay.
incredible.
I've never really talked to anybody that loves chicken so much as you appear to be.
I would
and
eat
hate
chicken.
turkey.
I would eat chicken in every, actually, for the most part, I'd say 80% of the meals I've eaten in my life involve some sort of chicken.
So you're Wade Boggs, apparently. That's
Yeah,
pretty
well,
good.
hey,
I like that.
that's why they call him
He's-
Chicken Man, right?
He's in Tampa somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
well,
maybe you'll run
yeah,
into him.
he might be my
Some point.
neighbor. I see beer cans
could
all
be.
over the place.
Yeah, beer cans all over the place,
Yeah.
and lovely young women that he's chasing as he's fallen out of his car and
Yeah.
somehow willed himself to safety at some point. But I like chicken too, but I find it boring. It depends on obviously how you cook it.
Well, I cook an amazing bird. And by bird,
You
I mean
do?
chicken.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Is it
of
a
course.
full bird? Do you do
Well,
the full bird?
you got to mix it up. You see, that's why chicken's great. It's so versatile. It's you
is.
can make it taste many different ways. You can put here's the most basic chicken, and this is the best part. You bake it in the oven. You don't cook it on the stove.
Mhm.
You don't do anything like that. You
Yep.
put it in the oven, get it nice and well cooked all around. You put a little olive oil on it, okay, little salt, little pepper, and then a little Italian seasoning. Not much, just a little bit.
Wow.
And that is a perfect regular just chicken breast that you can heat up. It's obviously cooking in the oven, it makes it nice and moist and well cooked throughout. And that olive oil gives it that little bit of a little snap crunch when you bite into it, which is delicious. So, and it keeps all that
That's exactly how
moisture.
my mother used to make it. My
Well-
mother used to make it with all the parts,
Mhm.
right? You'd bake it instead. It wasn't. She made an amazing fried chicken too.
Yeah, oh
But
yeah.
this one, the Italian style with the olive oil, salt, pepper, and I think maybe just a little bit of rosemary on it, and
Yeah.
you just bake it, and it comes out so good. I like the skin on it. I mean, it's not the healthiest thing, but it gives you a lot
Well,
of flavor. I love thighs. Thighs to me have really good flavor to them, as do breasts. I'm a thigh and breast man, just to let you know.
Okay, well that's good to know. So when I order
Good
your chicken for your birthday, I will know.
Thank you.
I will
Send me
know.
a chicken all
Yeah,
the way
that's
up here,
right.
please do.
I don't know how we got onto the better of the two birds, but that is the case. It's like talking Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Eventually, we're going to get to the better one, which is Tom Brady, the chicken.
And Aaron Rodgers is a capon. If it has a capon,
Yeah.
that's like a mini chicken. It's
Yeah.
really flavorful. It's really, really, really good. Not as consistent,
Yeah.
not as clutch as the chicken. I
Yeah.
get that. I know where you're going with this.
Did you say not as cluck?
Not
Okay.
as clutch. Exactly.
I'm sorry. That was a bad joke. I apologize for that.
That was okay.
I kind
I
of.
laugh.
Yeah, I will. You might be the only one. So actually, I'm seeing our numbers get down into negatives. As crazy as that sounds.
Not good.
No, yeah, not good at all. But yeah, no. The point of this conversation, and there was a point, people, was that the turkey is just a bad bird. I mean, no matter how you slice it, no matter how you cook it, literally, figuratively, pun intended, all that stuff, it's dry, it's disgusting, and the people that just ache and yearn for turkey, I guarantee you, as you're sitting there eating your turkey, in the back of your mind, whether it's in at the forefront of your mind or maybe in your subconscious, all you're thinking about is just how bad this was and how much you wish you had anything else but this turkey. Like I tend to go ham. I like the ham on Christmas, but I also go ham on Thanksgiving. I don't mind doing the double ham. It's the only two times I generally eat ham throughout the year. So, and it's just a far better a piece of meat. I mean, again, if you're going to eat it plain, I mean, geez, go for the ham. I mean, you could eat. You don't even have to flavor that with anything. If it's cooked right, it's perfect. And turkey, even if it is cooked right, it's still dry and gross, and you shouldn't be eating it. So
Now, when you were a youngin, did you cause problems at the house with this when it was Thanksgiving and they had to make you a chicken because you didn't like turkey? Were you
Yep.
that kid that
Oh, of
acted up
course.
at like 8 years old?
Of course, I get what I want, John. Come on, you should know this by
You
now.
spoiled brat, you.
No, look, look, it wasn't like I was like, trying to trade turkey off for pizza. You know what I mean? I would have clearly done that because, well, pizza is just fantastic. But no, I was like, look, I just don't like turkey. I was, I was born to question everything, John. And at a
Yeah.
young age, I was questioning that tradition. I was like, why? My mom would be cooking turkey. I'd be 7 years old. I'd be like, why? Why are we eating this garbage? Um,
So you're a cynic, which I appreciate, but you're also a reason why I never had kids.
well,
Because I don't think I could put up with that from
I'm,
a 7-year-old. I'd
I'm
probably walk out the door at that point.
trust me, I'm the reason why I've never had kids. So
Right,
and there's there's a lot of reasons for that. But
exactly.
um,
Exactly.
look, I mean, to me, it's just something that I've been very consistent about, and I've been very right about. Like I said, just like I've been right about Patrick Mahomes. Just saying, just saying. I know this is a sports talk show, so I like to try to bring that in so we can level ourselves here a little bit.
If you ever run into a turkey, they're a miserable beast.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
really are. They are the most aggressive, miserable things I've ever run into. Now, there was one in Winthrop, which everybody had to wait till he crossed the street. He also had his own Facebook page with actually more followers than I have on my Facebook page. I don't interact much on Facebook, so that's more on me than him. But this turkey was causing all sorts of problems. Not much happens in Winthrop. So when the turkey would cross the street, everyone would have to stop, and there'd be this traffic backup because there's only 2 roads in to
Yeah.
Winthrop, and he was blocking one of them. So it was like, please kill this turkey and do something with him like you do on Thanksgiving. And maybe they're just miserable because they know it's inevitable that they're going to be slaughtered and served late
Well,
November. Maybe that just has a lot to do with it.
well, maybe they know that they're not good. I mean, look, there's. I'm just saying. Look, everything's coming up my
Low
way.
self-esteem with the turkey, right? Low self-esteem.
Look.
It was almost our national bird, though.
Oh
Instead
God,
of the bald
I
eagle,
would
it
have
was going to
moved.
be the national bird. Yeah, I think Ben Franklin either said no, we can't have the turkey as the national bird. It has to be the bald eagle. The bald eagle is the glorious animal, obviously.
Oh, of course, and I'm sure it tastes delicious if you were to cook them up.
Yeah,
Obviously,
if you want to go to jail for a
yeah.
few years. Yeah,
Well, again, I mean, I'm
You're
just saying, chances are that it probably tastes better than a turkey, and maybe some of my more, some of our more naturists or survivalists could attest that anonymously, of course. If you want to send us a tweet,
And not in Florida. I don't think there's many people like that hanging
No.
around in some parts of Florida, right?
Oh, geez. I mean, I'm sure. Look, who knows? I mean, I'm pretty sure this is. I live about 20 minutes down the road from what's that from Tiger King, the big cat country.
Oh yeah,
yeah. With what's her face who murdered her husband, but that's getting that might be getting a little off track. The point is, John. The point is the only time a turkey is good is in bowling. Okay, that's it. 3 strikes, you get a turkey. That's it. That's the only time it's good. So,
Okay.
NFL trade deadline was yesterday, and there were some moves made. Obviously, the Von Miller trade happened shortly after we got off the air yesterday. But before we get into that, though, obviously I guess the big news of the day or the night really was the Henry Ruggs situation. If you're not or haven't been paying attention, he was in what turned out to be a deadly car accident. He survived, but the issue being he was intoxicated at the time. He has been arrested and charged for with DUI that resulted in a death of a 23-year-old, a daughter, woman, mother, whatever. And he's since been cut from the Raiders. So in a blink of an eye, John, in a blink of an eye, a not only was a life, and this is obviously the biggest part of it, a life was taken. A life was taken, and in a bit of uh, symbolic way, another life was taken in the sense that Henry Ruggs, a former first overall, not first overall, but first round pick in 2020, a very good receiver by any means, young receiver, was likely going to prison and going for a decent amount of time based on
Mhm.
the Nevada mandates and their requirements. If charged and convicted with DUI. So that resulted in a death, obviously. So his career, I'm not going to say it's over. Um, and I'm not going to draw comparisons to this situation because I think they're two very distinct situations. But Dante Stallworth eventually did come back and play uh,
Mhm.
after he was charged with DUI manslaughter. Now, again, I want to draw very distinct comparisons or differences between the two. Dante Stallworth's situation was long after the night. It was early the next morning. The person was jaywalking. I'm not blaming the person, but he was jaywalking on a pretty busy highway down in the Miami area, and obviously Dante Stallworth took, or at least the mistake was made thinking that he had sobered up by the time he left, not the event, but went to go, I guess, pick up his car or something. Unfortunately, it was a tragedy that he
Mhm.
held himself accountable for and paid the price, literally and figuratively. But this situation is a little bit different because this was clearly a player who made the conscious decision to drive drunk at 3:30 in the morning, um, and his actions caused the death of another human being, and it's just a sad situation. Any way you look at it, obviously, and most importantly for the family and the person involved that actually lost their lives for no reason really, and other than
Mhm.
again his person. And again, I've heard people say, "Oh, he's rich. He should be taking an Uber." No, it doesn't. I don't care how much money you make. It's your responsibility. If you go out and you drive drunk,
Mhm.
whatever happens, that's your response. I don't care how much money you make. If you're going to go out and drink, well, make sure you have enough money to get home. If you have enough money to buy drinks, then you have enough money to go make sure you find your way home. There's too many options nowadays for everyone to get
In
home.
Vegas, of all
And
places,
again,
right? I mean,
yeah,
it's not like you're
exactly.
in an area where you're not in the suburbs or in the
Hmm.
sticks or whatever. You're in Vegas, and also I believe the league provides rides
Yeah,
for these guys.
yeah,
Like there's a
24
number,
7.
yep,
Yep.
7, which is great. So just give them a call and they'll provide the ride. I mean that is the look. I was the biggest drinker I've ever met, but I stopped 29 years ago. I've never driven. So I never put myself in that situation,
Mhm.
or more importantly, other people in that situation. Um, it's so sad because now this young woman who was just in a car on her way to whatever gets you know blindsided or hit from the back and is dead.
Mhm.
The automobile just exploded. The whatever it was, SUV or car, whatever, just exploded and she died because this guy decided that he was smarter, better, bigger, whatever he wants to put in his mind that determined that I can get behind the wheel even though I've had way too many drinks. And again, like I said, the league provides this
Mhm.
to just get a hold of them and they'll take care of you. Or if you're out with a teammate, or I it sickens me because
Mhm.
I think there's certain ways to really curtail drunk driving. They're a bit overreaching. A lot of people have told me, but you know what? This young lady who's no longer with us may have been saved if there were more rules and regulations in place, or just like you said, Ian, someone just took personal responsibility and said, "Look, I've got to call Uber or call the league and they'll come pick me up."
Look, I mean, there's so many options, and specifically for again a NFL player. Obviously, if you're an NFL player, you're more than capable of affording any type. I don't care if it's Uber, Lyft, Uber XL, a taxi, a
A
limousine.
limo, just
Yeah, like I
have
mean,
a
you
limo
you
for the night.
you
Yeah,
could call a limo just to get you 10 miles down the road if that's what you
of
need
course.
because you can afford it because you're especially a first round pick, wide receiver, you've got some money in your bank account. And even then, like I said, if you're living well below that line of very rich to possibly middle class, I mean, you can still afford it. I mean, again, that's part of the deal you make when you decide to go out to go drink. And
Mhm.
if you decide that you're
Yep.
going to drink to a extent that you're beyond the legal limit, well, guess what? It is your responsibility, morally and legally, to make sure that you have an appropriate ride home. And
Yep.
it's just it amounts to basically laziness. And did he? Again, I know there's did he make a conscious decision to go out and say, you know what, if I kill someone today, it doesn't matter. No, he didn't say that. I would hope not. I mean, geez, I mean, then we're talking whole something else. But it's still a conscious decision to put others at risk and yourself, of course. And look, I mean, his girlfriend was in the car, and I don't know what the extent of her injuries were, but she was banged up after this crash too. So,
Sure.
not only did one woman lose her life, but his significant other could be hurt from this for the rest of her life. I mean, who knows what eventually comes out of this? Unfortunately, she survived because it would have been yet another innocent life lost because of one person's decision. So, uh, good on the Raiders. I mean, not that they had a choice, but good on them for just making the decision to release him. Again, I just it's just sad. It's sad, and like I've seen some people kind of show a little sympathy towards, and I just don't. I don't have any. Like I said, I mean it's
For
such
him, no,
no,
none so,
I've none. I mean it's you'll sit there and maybe this whole situation will make you think like, wow, I can't believe he you know one day he had a career and the next he didn't. Well, that's the extent of my, I guess, sympathy, and I wouldn't even call it that. It's more or less just a mind opening or mind altering experience in a way. But for him, no. I mean, he deserves whatever he gets, and um, I think for what I read, I think mandatory sentencing is something between 2 and 20 years for DUI. That obviously killed someone in Nevada with no probation. So this isn't going to be you're found guilty, but you'll serve time served and probation, blah blah blah. No.
community service. And all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
nonsense.
Like,
Yeah.
so if he's found guilty, which again, I mean, based on everything that we've read so far and the information available, I don't see how he wouldn't be. No, he's going to spend some time in jail, and good for him. I mean, again,
Oh, absolutely should be in jail.
yeah,
I mean, I would be. I'm not really the toughest guy on crime, except when it comes to drunk driving.
yeah,
Because it's totally avoidable. And I don't want to rant and rave about my theories on this. I mean, I think I've gone as far as saying that every car should have a breathalyzer, even if you're someone who never drinks, and you have to have a valid license to start a car. I mean, that does seem a bit totalitarian. I get it, but also when we lose so many lives every year because of drunk driving, I wouldn't want to be a member of the family of that young lady who
yeah,
just died at the age of 23, and would want to be told what happened. Like, imagine the call that that person's parents got
hmm
at that time of night. By the way, your daughter died in a fiery crash, and the person that hit her was drunk. I
yeah.
mean, like, how do you even respond to that? So
And then come to
I don't know.
find out he's a star wide receiver
Right?
for an NFL team, your local NFL team, and you're like, wait a minute, his
Yeah,
decision.
couldn't
Yeah,
just do
it's
something different. It's like Andy Reid's son
yeah,
last year, same thing, and he was a multiple time offender. So
and
again,
yeah,
what the hell is he driving for? Why does he? Again, like I've never understood this. If you're in that position and you're going out, first of all, I would have an athlete to do this. I'd have a bodyguard.
yeah,
First of all, because everyone's going to look to start a fight with you. At some point, they go, "Oh, this is so and so. He's worth a lot of money. Let's start a fight with him, and maybe we'll get a lawsuit out of this." Have a bodyguard, have a driver, whatever it is. Yeah, it's going to cost you money, and maybe you look a little bit like a pompous, you know what? But so what? At least you know that you can go out, do what you want. 22-year-old kids want to go out and have fun. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I was 22 a long time ago, but be responsible. And it's sad.
mhm,
It does really leave you speechless, which for you and I is difficult.
yeah, yeah.
We're speechless on something because it's just so sad.
It is, and it's just unnecessary. I mean, again, it
Yep.
could have been anyone. It's just the fate line that these two people were on the road at the same time. At 3:30 in the
Oh yeah.
morning. Now, again, it is
Yep.
Vegas, so again, at 3:30 in the morning is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon for most people. But
Right.
like,
Yeah.
it's still to think that just happened. That just I don't
No,
know. It's it's unfortunate, and it sucks that we're sitting here talking about it, and again, it's just again unfortunate all around. So anyways, let's moving on. moving on, the Atlanta Braves, John.
Mhm.
Atlanta Braves are your 2021 World Series champions, and for those many who rooted against Houston, and that seemed to be the majority of everyone outside of the Houston area. We're very happy with the outcome last night, and it was one of those games. There wasn't much drama there at the end, except for the fact, John, that it was a Atlanta, Georgia-based team, and no lead is safe in any sport after 28-3. And
Nope.
I'm pretty sure even with 2 outs in the ninth, there were still some people that were, don't jinx it, don't jinx it. Even up by 7 runs, don't jinx it. No, I mean, good for them. First World Series win since 1995. Maybe that bodes well for the Cowboys. Maybe it's the rebirth of that 1995 era with all those the teams of the 90s. The Bulls are going to get better, and all that stuff. Maybe.
Oh, they are better.
Yeah.
Bulls
Well,
are better.
there you go. There you go.
You're onto something, Ian.
Yeah, the
Going back to 1995.
Braves are going to win. The Devils are going to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, it's just going to be a 1995 all over again. It's going to be fun.
Maybe Bill Clinton will be in the White House.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Why not? Why not? He's younger than the current president.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. But hey, whatever. Anyways, the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves, World Series champs. Good for them. I mean, obviously, it was. Baseball's got a lot to work at in order to get themselves back in the. Obviously, they're in the national spotlight. You know what I mean? But to get them back, kind of fighting at least admirably with the NFL, because I do feel like it's just not. You know what I mean? It's become a more, I feel like, local sport.
It's a regional sport.
Yeah, regional.
100%.
If that makes sense.
As is hockey. Hockey is
for sure.
Sport. Basketball and the NFL are national sports. I mean, Sunday is dedicated to the NFL. You're where you are. I am where I am. There's people in Waco, Texas. I mean, everyone's going to watch the Chiefs and the Packers on Sunday at 4:25, right?
Yeah.
Because 2 quarterbacks, 2 big brands. We're all looking forward to that. We don't go into the baseball season in mid-season looking at, oh my God, the Dodgers are playing the Braves on Sunday Night Baseball. Well, we all got to get together and watch that. It's a different thing. Again, football is perfect on TV. It also has 17 games now. Baseball is 162. So it is such a regional sport that they've got to do more things to try to make it more appealing to younger people. And look, what the Braves pulled off was truly amazing. I mean, this is a team that didn't reach 500 till early August.
Yeah,
they were fortunate they played in a pretty poor division, as were the Washington Nationals 2 years ago, who also beat the Astros in the World Series. So the Astros could have been looking at winning 3 out of 5 World Series, but they ran into 2 teams from the National League East who were not really good for 4 months, got hot at the right time and stayed hot in October, and were able to beat the Astros. But that's the fun part about baseball, right? You look at the last 5 years, the 2 best teams in baseball have clearly been Houston and the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have as many world championships as the Red Sox, Nationals, and some other team that won, the Braves.
Yeah.
They've all won 1 championship in that 5-year stretch, and without question, the Dodgers and Astros have been the 2 best teams. But that's baseball. You remember watching in the 90s. The Braves were the team of the 90s until they weren't. So the Yankees started running off World Series titles in the late 90s.
Well, think about
Atlanta
that.
with not the talent of that team. Yeah, that's such an underachieving team, right? They went to 5 World Series.
That rotation was, I mean, unbelievable. It's like, you think about it now, it's like, how did they ever lose a game? And like, they didn't lose many, but when they lost them, it came in the playoffs. and that's, that's why winning just isn't easy.
No. John Smoltz lost 2 World Series games, 1-0.
Yeah.
One was Game 7 against Jack Morris in 1991. The Minnesota Twins won that series in Game 7. And 5 years later, Game 5 of a series that was tied at 2-2, he lost 1-0 to Andy Pettitte. John Smoltz is one of the greatest big game pitchers I've ever seen. He's right there with Kurt Schilling. I think they're like the 2 best that I've seen in my lifetime. And, he still lost that game because that's how baseball is. Yeah, imagine having 3 Hall of Fame pitchers. And no one even questions.
Well, didn't the Washington Nationals have that? And what happened with them?
Roy Tigers. Remember the Tigers?
Yeah, Tigers.
Them. You had Verlander, Scherzer, David Price was on that team for a while. Anibal Sanchez was a outstanding pitcher. Yeah, Baseball's weird like that. I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, so I'm not bitter today. The Giants have won 3 World Series in the last dozen years, but even the Giants, they've had all sorts of great players, and they started winning titles without those players.
Yep.
Bonds retired. 3 years later, they started running off World Series titles because they got pitching. They played situational baseball, and you got to get hot at the right time. Like football, you have 17 games, and the postseason kind of mirrors that. Win or go home. With baseball, baseball's this long season, then all of a sudden the divisional series is a best of 5. The Orioles could beat someone 3 out of 5, and they're the worst team in baseball.
Well, you just got to go cold. I mean, think about this. I mean, the Red Sox could not stop scoring runs until they just stopped, and it was so head scratching that it's like, you sit there and laugh in some of those games. It's like, are they wasting some of those runs for later games? And then you're like, well, maybe they did, because clearly they hit a wall. They had a limit, and it was over. So, I mean, it's that's what makes, all these playoff series and playoff seasons for these different sports all have their unique twist to them. Obviously, I think the best time for baseball is the playoffs. Obviously, football. Again, they have the advantage, like you said, of, look, it's 17 games. They're all sort of, for the most part, once a week, on Sundays that's where most of them are kind of mashed together. So there's this routine and this consistent buildup each and every week for this one game. You talk about this one game. It's like watching a really good series week after week after week. The drama builds up and everything like that. With baseball, it's like, you can miss a few games, jump back into it, and, still have a long ways to go. So it's a marathon, and does it appeal to everyone? No. I mean, I get it. I understand it. I mean, it's a commitment to watch baseball games, but at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that they can't get more of a national grab or hold, because I do feel like it wasn't that much long ago that they did have that. Not to the level of football. Again, I don't have any unrealistic thoughts about them surpassing football. I mean, football is just a machine that can't even get in its own way. You know what I mean? Right. Like, no matter what they do, good, bad, or indifferent, that machine is just going to keep going and going and going and going, and it's just not going to stop. So, I don't expect baseball to surpass that. But, again, let's get back to the point where, a matchup between 2 contenders in the middle of or at the beginning of August on Sunday Night Baseball is intriguing television. It should be, because it's the only game in town at that point, but it still just isn't. I don't know. It's disappointing, because I feel like a lot was, excuse me, a lot was, lost, or opportunity lost when it comes to the Braves winning last night, because it was celebrated, but I feel like it's just not as big of a deal as it used to be. And maybe that's just, again, maybe you can speak on this a little bit more, but maybe that's just me trying to balance how I viewed it as a young adult or a kid or a teenager versus how I view it now, with obviously
the ratings show it.
Yeah.
The ratings show it. I mean, the 1986 World Series between the Mets and Red Sox, the average viewership for that series was 36 million people. This series is going to come out around 12 million. So 1/3 of the people watch this series compared to the 86 World Series. Now, there's a lot more to do now than there was in 1986. You have streaming, you have 9 million cable channels, a lot to do. You can consume the product in a different fashion. You can follow a game on Twitter, and then tune in if it gets exciting. Like, once it got to 7-0, I'm like, this is over. I'm going to do whatever and just keep going back to check in with it. But I think part of it is that the sport needs to do a better job promoting the stars, not the personalities, but having them impact games more. Because, I go back to the Kansas City Green Bay game this week. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, those 2 guys are going to pretty much decide the game, right? So one may play out of his mind, one may play poor or whatever, but it's going to be in their hands, so we're going to watch that.
Can I guess which is which?
I'll go along with that. I hope you're right.
We'll agree on that one. Yeah.
We'll agree that the Jeopardy host is playing better without question. But in baseball, you don't get that, and that's kind of part of the appeal of baseball. That's like some guy that you never heard of wins the World Series MVP. I mean, if you follow baseball, you know who Jorge Soler is. He had 48 home runs a couple of years ago with Kansas City, so he's definitely a talented guy. I mean, I've suggested different rule changes where, from the 7th or the 8th inning on, you can reset your batting order so that the game does come down to your 3 best hitters against their best pitcher. So that would be great confrontations rather than have your 3 worst hitters up in the 8th inning or 9th inning, and, all of that stuff. I mean, that's a bit drastic.
Well, it's better than the new rules they have implemented.
Well, yeah, I mean, baseball purists drive me crazy anyway. It's like, no change. No, we like the fact that the game lasts 4 hours and 12 minutes, which is absurd. There's ways you can kind of curb that a little bit, put in and then enforce this pitch clock, which the players, are hesitant to do. Like, why does a manager have to come out to make a pitching change? No other sport does that happen. Like, Bill Belichick doesn't walk out with, Jonnu Smith to the huddle and walk back with.
Imagine that every snap, every
snap.
play.
Yeah, hold on one second. I've got Jonnu Smith going in. I got to walk him in, and I'm going to walk Hunter Henry back to the side. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, just signal pitching change, get the guy into
I want to go back to that. Like, where are we substituting Jonnu Smith for Hunter Henry? I'm very intrigued by that. What's Hunter Henry doing now? I know he's tight end extraordinaire, but I didn't know maybe doubles as a defensive end or what, but yeah, it is. It's silly, and again, the rules that they do change, like adding the man on second in extra innings, is dumb. I hate that rule, like, because it's
really. See, I like it. The regular season, because the one thing I think you want to avoid is the 18th inning game, because it does screw pitching, and
I think the most important thing you want to avoid, though, is making the game too gimmicky. Like, I hate the shootout in hockey. I understand why they do it. I understand why people like it, and I begrudgingly accept it. But even if, say, the Bruins win because of a shootout, I will still go to Twitter right after and say the shootout stinks, because, in my opinion, it marginalizes the actual game. What you're actually playing. It's not about playing hockey. It's about it's a skill competition. It's like, okay, your overtime period in basketball ends. Let's go to a 3-point competition. Let's see who wins. Or, obviously baseball is doing a similar version where they, add a player to assist teams in scoring, which again, I think takes away part of the game. I don't think I'm not a baseball purist by any means, but I think that is enough of a change of the actual gameplay and strategy of the actual game and what it's supposed to be, that it's an issue. So I don't like it. I don't like the shootout. I would hate, like, me, the way I overtime is now in the NFL, I think is perfect. And I think this season alone has proven how perfect it is based on the overtime games we've gotten. I would hate if they went to college football rules. I hate the college football overtime rules. Because again, to me, I look at that, I'm like, okay, now it just makes it a gimmick. Now it's like, what's the point of strategy? What's the point of actually playing the game of football if it's just going to end in basically a mad dash rush, offensive rush from the 20-yard line in? And just to me, it makes no sense. Hockey, same thing. You can have this great physical competition for 60 minutes. And the game may end on some shootout where a player sneaks the puck in between his legs and it becomes a circus shot, but that wins you a game. Like, look, I'm a goalie. Like, I was a goalie. I don't want to sit here and pretend like I still get on the ice. It's been a long time, but I would welcome. I don't want people to be confused with me just not wanting to say face a shootout. I loved shootouts because I always felt like I had the advantage one-on-one, always. So I would welcome that as a goalie. But as a fan of the sport, I hate it. Again, putting a man on second is along the same lines. I obviously don't feel as strongly about that side, but yeah. So that's where I stand when it comes to rule changes. Like, I think some rule changes and pace of play changes are good. Changing the foundation of what the game is where I draw the line, and I think that's borderline one of those situations.
Yeah, you don't want to have a home run hitting contest to decide a baseball game. Or imagine in football, you go to overtime and we're going to wheel out the 2 kickers. And, who can hit the longest field goal wins the game for you. It's kind of weird, and I know we don't talk much about soccer, but the World Cup has been decided by a shootout on several occasions. In '94, Italy lost to Brazil in a shootout. In '06, they beat France in a shootout. That seems a bit ridiculous I was happy in 2006 when Italy won, and I wasn't happy in '94 when they lost. But to break it down to that, all of a sudden it's like, okay, we've just played 120 minutes. We can't decide who won, and now it becomes again a skills contest.
Yeah.
But again, it's still the players on the field, and there's still the goalkeeper, and all of that. Does make it interesting. I think basketball has just overtime.
Well,
Because there's a
yeah.
flow to it. It's 5 minutes. It's just a continuation of the regular game, and I think that works. The college football one, anytime, Ian, you need to have 3 or 4 sentences to explain what the hell's going on, you lose me.
Yeah.
Because now it just becomes too complicated.
Well, look, for me, it's like basketball. Obviously, it's much easier for them to not have extended overtimes because of just the nature of how scoring is, and B, just the nature of the game itself. It's a little bit easier to do those continuous overtimes. Like, I understand that, like, in the regular season in hockey, you can't go playoff overtime, which I think is of all of them, I think is the best and most exciting. Sudden death to me is I mean, that's what overtime is, but I understand, like, you can't have games in the middle of November go 3 overtimes, you know what I mean?
Right.
You can't do that. But I always felt that my solution was this: make the overtime period 10 minutes. If you wanna go I don't mind them going to 4 on 4. Because again, that still the essence of the game of hockey is still there. You're still playing the game of hockey. So I don't
Right.
mind
4 on
going
4.
to 4 on 4. But my thing was I would rather a tie than a shootout. And I don't think you're gonna have too many ties if, say, you go 1 10-minute overtime, sudden death. Not every game's gonna go the full 10 minutes. And, you just leave it at that. It's not that much of an extension of what they normally do with the 5 minutes. It adds at least enough time for multiple possessions if need be. And again, it doesn't end in some cheap shootout where, maybe, consider this. Maybe it's 1-1. Maybe you get a 1-1 game where it's like these goalies are maybe they make multiple stops, maybe 40 plus saves apiece. And this great game comes down to maybe some fluke little deke move or something like that. You know what I mean? Some
Mhm.
gimmicky shootout goal, and that's where it kills me. So, like, even football, yeah, I think if they do anything to change, overtime now, I think it's getting close to that because even oh, well, they should have a chance. Well, that's not what football is. Like, just because you score, the other team's not guaranteed a possession. Like, clock management's a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, manage the
Mhm.
clock, and if you don't get a chance just because this other team scores, this isn't baseball. It's not, top of the inning, bottom of the inning. This is football. So,
Right.
oh, well, if they score well, if you allow them to score a touchdown in overtime, you don't deserve to get another chance. You deserve to lose the game because, well, guess what? You had 60 plus minutes to make a difference, and it couldn't happen. So why are you getting more opportunities? So again, that's why I think overtime in the NFL is perfect. Don't change it. Don't react. I'm so glad. Oh God, John, I am so happy. I am so happy that the NFL did not overreact like they tend to do from situations such as that 2018 AFC Championship game, because all we heard after that was complaints, complaints, complaints. And I'm sitting here scratching my head and said, look at the numbers. Only 50% of the time does a team that win the coin toss actually win on the first possession. So that means that isn't, necessarily a bad, that's what you want. You want a pretty even split. And like I said, based on what we've seen this year, has any team won on the first possession in overtime? Like,
I don't think they have. No,
yeah.
it's 8 teams had in a possession. Didn't in hockey though? Did they play with this idea, or maybe I was just dreaming? I like the idea of extending it to 10 minutes. Would you play the first 5 minutes 4 on 4 and then go 3 on 3?
I think that was an idea that was
For
probably
for the next
floated.
5 minutes?
I I would I would well, let's just put it this way. I'd rather that than the shootout. Because even
You're still onto a tie, though, right? You still.
yeah, no,
I
again,
wonder what the hesitancy for a tie is. Maybe has to do with gambling, which I mean, of all major sports, hockey gets the least amount of gambling. But
well, it
if
should
you're,
I mean, if that's the case, it shouldn't be, for one. And two, I think I honestly, and this is why the shootout was put in place, it was bringing the casual fan. And I get it,
right,
like, you know what I mean? Like, hockey's always gonna be playing with one arm tied behind their back because it's a sport that you really have to experience it and give it a chance to love. A lot of people end up doing that. The problem is it's just, of the four sports, like, we talk about struggles baseball has. Well, hockey with a lot of the same things. They're ultra regional and they're still
Mhm.
having an issue, you know, reaching a broader fan base. Now I think going back to ESPN now is going to help them in the long run, but at the time in 2004, 2005 when the NHL did come back, um, if you're trying to bring in a whole new generation of fans and people that have never watched the sport before, and you're trying to sell them on, oh well, a bunch of these games ends in a tie, because you also have to remember that was the era of the trap. You know what I mean? Like that whole
Oh
era of
god, yeah.
hockey was terrible. They had, one of my if it was still in existence today, I'd be railing on it just as much as the two-line pass rule, which was, I mean, again, I mean, we see leagues want more offense now. I mean, that was stunting offense at an exponential
Mhm.
rate, and really playing into the whole trap style of hockey. So, you're coming out of one of what would be considered the dead puck era of hockey for the
Mhm.
most part, and you're trying to sell a new fan base and a new league after even the existing fan base too, mind you, because you're coming off a year where you lost an entire season and the fans felt somewhat betrayed because of it. You're trying to sell them on a league that has a bunch of ties, and that's a tough thing to do. So what do you do? Well,
Definitely.
yeah, you bring in, a casual fan's going to enjoy the make or break situation of a shootout, and I get that. So in a sense, I understand why they did it, but I feel like now, 15 years later, I think it's time to get rid of it. You have a strong enough product now that having a shootout isn't gonna change much whether you have it or not. And I think the more exciting thing, and I think more fans would really clamor for more 4-on-4 and possibly more 3-on-3, because at the very least, that still has the foundation of hockey within its rules.
Right.
Like you're playing hockey. There's offsides, there's strategy, there's passing the puck, there's moving the puck, all that stuff. So you still have that part of hockey, and it's not a shootout. So, um, if I ever run for office, forget about local issues and state issues. I'm just going to run on campaigns on what I want to change in these major sports leagues, and I think I'm going to get some traction. And turkey, anti-turkey. Yeah,
Commissioner of
exactly.
all sports.
I want to ban
Yeah.
turkey on a federal level, not because I think it's
Well,
endangered or it needs to be saved. No, I mean, go ahead, kill all the turkeys you want. I just think people will be better off not eating them. I think less people will fight. I think people will come together in harmony and love and all that stuff because they'll realize, oh my
huh.
God, turkey was bringing me drip down mentally, physically, literally, and figuratively. Because don't you know, if you eat turkey, you tend to fall asleep from the tryptophan. So
As long as you eat potatoes with it, that's the key.
yeah,
That sets off the tryptophan. You can have turkey alone; it won't put you to sleep. But if you have potatoes with it, a doctor told me this before, that's what sets it off. But you know what? I plowed through eating it because I got to stick around and eat a lot of pies on Thanksgiving
yeah,
too.
of course, of course, of
I stay
course.
awake.
Pumpkin pies, huckleberry
Yes,
pies, all
yeah.
that stuff.
Regatta pie,
Yeah,
apple
that's
pie too.
right.
I love
Apple pie,
Who
apple pie.
doesn't?
You know what's better though, and this is a discussion Chris Blackie and I had once, and actually a disagreement we had. Um, Apple crisp and apple pie are not the same dessert, correct?
No, not at
Exactly.
all.
Thank you. Thank
No,
you. And then Chris, I really hope
total
you're
different thing.
I hope you're listening right now, because we did a rankings of our or draft. That's what it was. It was a Thanksgiving food draft. And I think he drafted apple pie. So my response was to draft apple crisp because, well, guess
Mhm.
what? I think that's even better because, okay, that's me. And that's a discussion we can save for another day because, as crazy as it is, John, we've run out of time. We've run out of time.
We have.
We haven't even talked about the NFL trade deadline, as crazy as it sounds, but we had more important things to talk about, and I had more important things to rant about. So we will be back tomorrow, Thursday Night Football tomorrow. We have the Jets and the Colts. Uh, uh, it's, that's all I got. I mean, we'll hype it up tomorrow. We'll talk about that, and we'll try to discuss some of these moves that happened yesterday and some of the potential free agent moves that might happen here in the very near future. So until then, we will talk to you then. Give us a follow on Twitter at FPC Radio Live. If you've missed this show or any other show, go ahead and download this podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, FPC Radio Live. And of course, be here ready to go tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We see you then. Have a great day.